today. I was on Bleacher Report earlier and saw an article that had like 7 different wide receiver trades, and one was the Jets, and we had to talk about it on the show today because I just really don't get the logic behind it. Their recommendation was for the New York Jets to trade with the Buffalo Bills, who's a division rival, for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't know. Like when he was a free agent, that was a name that got brought up a ton because the Aaron Rodgers connection, obviously, and the point of the article too had to do with like reuniting past, quarterback duos. But why would Buffalo sign him in free agency to just trade him before the season starts in the division? Not even like just one, trading him after signing him to begin with is bizarre, but then trade him to the team that probably is going to give you the biggest run for your money for the division is just weird behavior.
Yeah, I do have to preface this and say, not to like belittle any sports media outlet, because I'm also part of a sports media outlet, so I know how tough it can be sometimes to find topics to write about. But Bleacher Report consistently drops the worst mock trades ever. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Day after day, we're seeing just some of the Knicks mock trades that I've seen this offseason have just been disgusting. This one about the Jets is just, it's nonsensical. Like, it doesn't make any sense when you really sit and think about it. And I think what's happening here with the Jets, and I think it's been happening for quite a bit, is anytime a player hits free agency or is not going to make a roster or is on free agency and they have any kind of connection whatsoever, minor connection to Aaron Rodgers, just because of like the Allen Lazard signing and a couple others, familiarity signings with Aaron Rodgers, anytime someone becomes maybe available with a connection to Rodgers, the media is just so quick to say, oh my God, the Jets have to pick this guy up. And I think it's ridiculous. It doesn't always work. Now it's like you're shoehorning in a narrative to fit, and it really doesn't make any sense. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, why would the Jets trade for him? Why would the Bills trade him to the Jets? There's not really a good answer for either one of those questions. And overall, I think this is, like I said, a very nonsensical mock trade.
Right. And like, I'm not against, and you're not, with what we both do, whether on the website or on YouTube, like talking through different scenarios for teams is fine. I'm good with hypothetical scenarios or trade ideas. But like, can they make a little bit of sense? Like the Jets going out and trying to add more wide receiver depth because like you have Mike Williams coming off an injury, and some young guys in Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, Jason Brownlee, how bad Allen Lazard played. Like you can make a case that the Jets should look to add another wide receiver, but like again, like why would the Bills, who are in the same division, just trade him? And their argument was, well, if he's not going to make the roster and they just cut him, they would save a little bit of money if they were to trade him for a late, a late day 3 pick or whatever it is. But I just don't get the connection. The only connection is, as you said, that he had a cup of coffee with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
That's it. That's all that it is. I mean, the media is just so obsessed with trying to connect Aaron Rodgers with any of his buddies through free agency trade that they just come up with these ridiculous proposals. And I also think another reason to argue why the Jets shouldn't make this trade, they've got enough receiver depth. Like, sure, there might be room for an upgrade and room for improvement. And that's why we've kind of talked about maybe Darius Slayton gets traded to them midway through the season, which makes infinitely more sense than this mock trade. But I think that there are young talents on this roster. Xavier Gibson, Malachi Corley, give them those reps. Don't just trade for Marquez Valdez-Scantling and take those training camp and practice reps away from your younger talent for no good reason. They're not. Marquez Valdez-Scantling isn't going to be the long-term answer like a couple of these younger guys are. They need the practice reps and they need the regular season reps as well, even. So it just, every level of this mock trade just does not make any sense. I can't get behind this one, and I can't understand how mock trades like this continue to get pumped out by such big media outlets.
I don't get it. I do think, though, and I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show already at some point, was if the Jets make an in-season trade for wide receiver, that would not surprise me. We mentioned Darius Slayton as a potential option for the Jet. Like a move like that in season around the trade deadline. Okay, training for MVS in training camp or trading for any wide receiver in training camp is something that I just don't see. I don't know if we really see any big time trades for a while now. Do you think we get any, not even just Jets or Giants, in NFL in general? Do you think we see any trades here in the next couple months before the start of the season?
I do actually. I think that usually in training camp, there's one, maybe two. I'm not saying any massive blockbusters. However, there is one that kind of looms large, and that is Brandon Ayuk. So I could
Okay.
see Ayuk getting moved during training camp. He gets back into the building with the 49ers, has some more negotiations, says, F it, I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me. And they're like, okay, fine. And they move on from Brandon Ayuk. I could totally see that happening. I don't know if there's anyone else that I could see that happening to. You could argue maybe T. Higgins. He just signed his franchise tender, so maybe he gets moved on that franchise tender. That's possible, but unlikely. So I would say Ayuk or bust for blockbuster trades during training camp. But at the end of the preseason, when all of those teams go through their cuts, oftentimes you do see some players get traded rather than cut so that teams can get these guys before they hit the waiver wire. So we'll see some trades. Just I don't think there's going to be anything too crazy.
Yeah, Ayuk's a good name to call out there. I think they probably would want to trade, I think, Debo more. But I don't know who wants to take on that contract after the last couple of years that Debo's had. So that maybe San Francisco is an interesting one for a potential trade. But I don't know. I'm not just for this one. Thought it was weird. Said, all right, let's talk through this and maybe poke a little bit of fun at it. But strange times.
Strange times indeed. And again, I think that's just a product of this being that slow period in between mini camp and training camp. Sometimes people want to find something to talk about. Sometimes they do a good job of it. I think we do a good job of it. Other times, some outlets just have no idea what they're talking about and just coming up with anything to drive home some clicks. But yeah, Marcus Valdez Scantling, can't imagine it happening. I think, if anything, like you said, Jets making a trade during the regular season if they have any injuries or if they feel they need to upgrade. And I think Darius Slayton still makes a lot of sense for him.
Absolutely. But Peter chimes in with it. I think this is a good one to close out. Could have just re-signed Mims. I don't know if you saw Denzel Mims, former Jet second round great from the 2020 draft class. He just signed with Jacksonville's practice squad. So we made the comparison that he has 9 lives, like a cat. He won't die. He just keeps kicking around in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a player that I thought had so much potential coming out of college. Really liked the pick for the Jets. I'm sure that you felt the same way, and a lot of Jets fans did. Can't believe that he just hasn't found a solid home and hasn't panned out in any way, shape, or form. But he's going to keep finding different teams to play for, apparently. Like you said, 9 lives. He's somehow, some way unable to be put down for the count.